All right, everyone, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Wednesday, April 27, 2022. If you like the content, like, comment, subscribe, etc. If you're interested in swing trading alerts and analysis, come find me on carnivoretrades.com. That's only if you like beating the market by 20% year to date. Otherwise, stay away. Anyways, market's set to close here in about a minute and a half here. Spiders, somebody got to call the market police because the spiders are green right now. SPY up 25 basis points as we speak. So for some reason, the market didn't crash overnight like everybody predicted. So we'll see if that happens tomorrow. But markets are green right now. Did fade a little bit here in the last hour. And again, like I said yesterday in the live stream, it looks like we're market makers and banks, institutions, etc. are looking for, they're really just searching for liquidity here. And again, much like the 23rd of February, it does look like, despite the VIX being at 31 or 32, this market's very quiet. I mean, look at how sideways we've been today. It's almost, wanting to put me to sleep here. But it looks like we're searching for liquidity, and I think the market does probably need to get a gap down out of its system because nobody's really willing to barf up their shares right now. And, it's not like we don't have good volume here. I mean, we've got about 105 million shares traded right now. It's about 30 seconds left in the trading session. So it's not like the volume's bad, but liquidity is low at the same time, in a sense that we're so range bound, and the market's it's been like watching paint dry here pretty much all day long. We had a little bit of a move up in the morning, then kind of a bear trap, and then kind of this failed bull flag. So really kind of neutral so far all day long, pretty much across the board. So we'll see what we get out here. Obviously, Facebook Meta reports after the close. We'll take a look at that after the bell rings, and I'll keep you appraised on that. But take a look at this intraday here. So there was a false report released at about 1 o'clock, and there's the closing bell. So there was a false report released at 1 o'clock, and basically that was it was basically supposedly an early report, and that did not happen. Obviously, they got refuted, but look where it went here. So right down to 169, and if you take a look at these levels here that I've got marked out on my chart, so we went right to this area. So we broke down here during the March lows, couldn't get above it, broke above it, back tested it right there. And that's where we basically went on that pierce today. And then if you look at this trend line here, just zoom out to a monthly chart. This goes all the way back to 2015, also coinciding with the 100-month moving average. So Facebook into a very interesting level, and it's sold off intraday, went right to 169. And then bounced up immediately. So we'll check back in on this later. Google also reported, obviously, yesterday. We covered that in the live stream. That one kind of just hung in there. Didn't quite get down to the aftermarket lows yesterday of about 22.30. I think that was the low, also coinciding with this pivot here going back to last year. But, it did hang in there a little bit. Maybe it does need to test that again. Again, if the market does gap down, that will be a logical area for it to go. Microsoft was really a bright spot for the market today, up almost 5%, going up and testing this kind of 50 and 20 moving average necktie, got up into this resistance zone. But look at how it was this morning, just a powerhouse, really kind of keeping the market afloat as a lot of things were getting pushed lower. But Microsoft having a nice day. Visa also doing some heavy lifting as well. Did finish way off the highs, but got all the way up to that 220 handle before reversing and coming back in. But a nice report there for Visa. Semiconductors today. So we're going to continue to watch this lower kind of falling wedge pattern here. Basically gapped right down into it, rallied off of that, and then everything kind of came off the highs. So we'll see what happens there. But I do like this area as support right now. I've got these pivots going back to last year. Remember, this was kind of your failed bearish chop. So that is usually where the institutions are sitting. And then you got a falling wedge pattern going into that. So we'll see if the semiconductors can hold up here. IGV basically just hanging on to double bottom as well. Looks like a lot of other things. Not a whole lot going on in cloud today. Dow Transports, nice little move today, coming off the lows up 1.24%. Canadian Pacific, I believe, reported this morning. That did finish green. And I believe Norfolk Southern as well. Unless they are after the close. They might be after the close. But either way, nice little move there for the transports and the rails, getting some of those earnings out of the way. 10-year here. So we talked about this yesterday, kind of a pullback into that 20 moving average. didn't quite get there, but basically you could say it kind of kissed it, so to say, and now getting a bit off that. So it may get up to that 3% level after all. Again, I've been saying it probably needs to pierce that to get that psychological test out of the way. And then I think that the 10 years probably about done here. 30-year, same kind of deal. It got above 3% and now pulled back, and now getting a bid here, but still very extended. And again, it may get above 3%, maybe 3.1. I think I had a max move months and months ago. I think it was 3.065. I'll have to double check that. But in any case, a pierce of 3%, that was what was called for, and that is what has happened. But ultimately, yields getting very long in the tooth. HYG was negative again, but so notice this kind of range tightening here. So we'll see if this develops a bit of a falling wedge here. Maybe this can push higher, but overall, high yield debt is in lots of trouble, as we've mentioned here on the channel. XHB, another kind of inside day, so it's hanging in there, not making new lows. So I guess that's your positive there. The negative is this is not a pattern of strength here. So you have a sharp move down here and then just sideways chop. That's generally bearish consolidation, so we got to watch that. ITB, same kind of deal. And the VNQ here, so I told you guys 112, 113 was going to be resistance. Even despite that consolidation, that looks like it is potentially a failed breakout here, but it did fill this gap. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it can make a higher low here at the 50 moving average, but not a good look there on the VNQ, all things considered. XLF here, not much to say. Did finish negative, basically flat here, just down a couple pennies. It's holding on to that double bottom level. And broker dealer, same kind of deal. That level right there around 400, I pointed out yesterday, is a good area and would be a logical area of support if we were to gap down or something like that. I think that would be a good buy level on the XHB. Crude here, really quiet overall, up just 33 cents here on spot crude. Again, watching this for lower highs. If that happens and we get those equal lows here, crude could be headed down to 85, but overall, not a whole lot going on there today. XLE, just really consolidating here beneath that 50 moving average. We do have some of the big oil producers reporting later this week. I believe Chevron is on Friday. I'm pretty sure Exxon reports as well. So we'll be watching that. Obviously coming off the highs here and basically just going sideways. It will probably go sideways until those earnings are completed. Same thing with the XOP, just holding onto that 50 moving average. OIH, same kind of look there, not too much different. Nat gas, I told you guys where it was going to go. 750 went right up there, and now we're pulling back off of that area. So it is a little bit of a you got a drop and pop setup, worked out really nicely. Probably got a lot of resistance up here, so it probably will stall out a little bit. Nothing to say it can't move higher, but it's likely going to need to do some backing and filling first. But overall, nice little move there on nat gas. Really wish I could have participated in that move, but it took off a little bit sooner than I would have liked it to, and just really kind of got going before the open yesterday, so not much you can do about that. Anyways, dollar index here, piercing through 103, so getting all the way up there. I think at this point, this probably will make new multi-year highs. I think it's probably going to get through these pivots here, but I'm not sure how much higher it can really go after that. Let's look at the max here. Yeah, so you're going to have a little resistance here at about 107 if it were to get up there. But the dollar's been strong, and you got to respect it for now. So I don't see any reason why it's going to stall out anytime soon. But if you get a major, engulfing reversal or something like that, it could be about time for the dollar to reverse anyway. Gold here. So pulling back here, I said 1875 is going to be a good area for a bounce. That looks like it's going to happen. So we got that 100-day moving average coming into this range. So it should get a good bounce off of that area. It's going to run into resistance around 1920 on the upside. GDX, same level, kind of coincides, 100 moving average. So around 34, 34.50, that would be your logical area. This is really oversold, by the way. I actually wouldn't be opposed to picking some up at this level, given how oversold it is. But a big fall there on GDX altogether. Same thing with silver. This should have some support around 23 if it can get down there. And SILJ, I've got support at about 1175 in the near term. So those are kind of the levels there for the precious metals. Platinum, basically just hovering above double bottom here. We'll have to watch this one for pattern. I still think this needs to go lower. And palladium, really just kind of an inside pattern here. Nothing too new to report here today. And copper, also kind of an inside pattern, holding that 200-day moving average and also that weekly 50 moving average. So we'll be watching those altogether. Now let's move over here to Facebook. So Facebook, oh wow, 186. Boy, this is interesting. Look at that. So I thought this was very suspicious, and I meant to point that out earlier. Isn't it strange how they just, our fake report gets released in the middle of the trading session, and all of a sudden, all these, I mean, I would assume a ton of stops got hit, and a lot of people probably bought puts down here, and now look what they're doing. Wow, that is amazing. All right, we're gonna we're gonna flip back over to this. Let's talk about Bitcoin really quick, and we'll get back over to this. This is ridiculous. All right, so Bitcoin trying to hold the lows here. Obviously, that ugly sell yesterday, not a good look. It's got a lot of work to do. It's got its work cut out for it. If it can get back above this red bar high, it can really start to rally, but there's really nothing to say at this point that it's going to do that. It's a pretty ugly reversal yesterday. I will say Ether looks a lot better. Taking a look at Ether here. So I just drew this trend line in. Actually, this was an old trend line that I just extended out. So remember this wedge pattern here that we were following? That's basically where this, right where price went. You got a reaction off that, and now you're back, yesterday you back tested that low. You held that low on a closing basis. So there is hope here for Ether and really the, the crypto market, but it's got its work cut out for it. So got to get above that red bar high and close above it. So 3036 is the magical number here on Ether. And on Bitcoin, the number is 4825. So those are your levels there on crypto. If they can get above that, then they can certainly rally. But again, like I said, they've got their work cut out for it here in the meantime. Let's go back to Facebook here. This is just ridiculous. You can't make this stuff up. So Facebook here, let's take a look at a few others. Qualcomm. So look, Qualcomm up 10 points after hours now. 5 points make that. Wow, so Qualcomm reporting. And I tweeted this earlier, guys. I said, look, there's a lot of hedge. Look, the VIX is at 31, 32. Everybody's hedged for these big cap tech stocks to take a Netflix 50% haircut. And if that doesn't happen, those hedges are going to have to come off. So what do you think's happening right now? Let's take a look at the VIX futures coming in very sharply here. So spiders are up basically $1 after hours already, just off of Facebook, Qualcomm. Let's see who else we got. Boeing, I think, reported earlier, but that one got hit. Let's look at PayPal. They're up $2. Doesn't look, oh, yeah, it looks like their earnings are out. Potentially. That's a big move there. We'll see. But that's up a couple bucks. ADP. Let's see, ServiceNow. Basile. So interesting stuff. Wow, wouldn't it be interesting if Facebook just ripped faces off here? So it's at 100 and it's at 193 now. That's a 20 point, almost a 20 point move after hours here. So it's all the way up in this range here. Wow, incredible stuff here. But I knew as soon as they released that fake report that something was going on. Look at that, 196 now. Wow. So we'll see if the market comes off the lows. Remember, we got to call the market, please, because we didn't have a crash today. So maybe Apple and Amazon can take a 50% haircut, and then everybody who called for a crash yesterday will be vindicated. But we'll see how the things settle here tomorrow. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. You guys have a great rest of your night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.